This program has been paid for by Strather Academy, creating developers within our communities.
Hi, how are you doing today? And I know you are expecting to see a different face here, but we've got a little bit surprised. Yes, this is the Wealth and Development Show. We are on a different set right now, but the surprise is that I, John Hill, get a chance to interview Herb Strather. So I'll do a little bit more of the talking, or we'll see about that. But as you know, Herb Strather has done $2 billion of real estate transactions in the city of Detroit. And we're going to find out how he did that, and we're going to find out how you can get involved in this economic explosion that's going on in real estate in Detroit. Hey Herb, how you doing today?
Hey John, thank you very much, man. Thank you very much.
So how does it feel, first of all, for you to get interviewed?
For me to get an interview, well John, people have accused me of when I'm interviewing my guests that I do all the talking anyway, so.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about
You've
that.
been meaning to talk to me about. Well, I am the interviewee, so that's very good.
So let's start off here, Herb. We're going to be talking about this book that you just are launching, and you're having a pre-launch right here in the city of Detroit.
Yes.
Which Way is Detroit is
Yes.
the name of your book. But, you know, just a little bit so we can rehash, because you interview people on your show daily, and you're finding out about them. But just tell me a little bit about Herb Strather, if you will.
About Herb Strather. Well, I was born on the corner of Mack and Mount Elliott, right where the gas station is, but there was a building there. My father had a restaurant downstairs. And we got off the east side.
Nothing wrong with the east side. You're not going to get me beat up when I'm driving through the east side.
We moved on Herbert Street. So I'm Herbert from Herbert Street.
Herbert from Herbert Street.
And, you know, it was really a great time back then. When I go back to the community, I see there's a lot of just green grass. The houses, the real estate, the verticals are not there as much. And it touches my heart. But I remember as a little kid saying, and I stuttered very much. I had pimples all over my face. I stuttered.
From what I hear, Herb, I heard you used to beat up a couple people for joking and talking about you.
A little bit.
If people don't know you, you weren't a bully, but you was a bully's bully, huh?
I mean, I had a very bad stuttering problem. My teacher used to, stop it. I was in speech therapy.
Oh, wow.
And bumps all over my face, poor. And I was saying, if I ever get out of here, I'm going to come back and rescue my community and help little kids like me escape.
Well, let me just say this. You did. And you have. And you're doing.
And we're right in the middle of it now. But the most important part of all this is right now, John. I was very lucky because an Optimist Club came and saved my life by hosting an oratorical contest. And after 2 or 3 times, I won. Can you believe a little kid stuttering? When I got in front of people, I didn't stutter a lot of people, I found out. Eventually led to me becoming class president, and after that, I wanted to be the president of everything. I guess the rest is kind of history.
In some ways, you still do, huh? You wish you could. Yeah, you wish you could take out that guy with the orange hair. I would say.
Well, yeah.
I mean, become president. I definitely don't mean.
Well, that's politics. We'll save politics a little bit later in the show.
But you know what? I was going to say, what your story tells me, Herb, though, seriously, is that you were the underdog. You know what it's like to be the underdog. You know what it's like to be picked on. You know
Absolutely.
what it's like to be the poor person.
Right.
And you were able to use all of that, the frustration and whatever else was going on inside you,
right,
and turn it around to a positive thing.
Right, John, you're absolutely right. And since the Great Depression, a lot of Detroiters haven't really pulled out, understand, and they still feel as if they're the underdog. But since I've been in that position as an underdog, and I've come back several times, I can say, look, this is how you do it. You got to be optimistic, you got to believe, you got to have knowledge. Right now, we're living in the greatest time since I've been born. And as far as the accumulation of wealth, and we did write a book, Which Way is Detroit, to talk about how you can accumulate this wealth, but I want Detroiters to participate in it first, because others around the world is also going to read it.
Absolutely.
And what my purpose in life now is really a legacy purpose, because I've done most of the things that a person could do in life. Right now, I see my main purpose is to get Detroiters involved. And people my age are the baby boomers. It's not so much for us, but it's for our future generation, for our kids, and for our grandkids.
Yeah, let's leave it.
This is what it's about, John.
Because, this is what it's about. And I'm going to stop you right there if I can. And we're going to come back, talk about your book, talk about what your mission is. But, Councilman Kenyatta, who I served for a long time, he recently passed. And, I say my hat is off to him because he taught me so much. And he used to say that when you come to the table, you better bring something to eat, and that's the only way that you're going to be respected.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
After receiving a delinquent property tax bill for the 2 lots connected to my home, I was concerned.
My property taxes became delinquent after I fell behind on my bills.
Let us help you. Our goal is 0 owner-occupied properties getting foreclosed and going to the auction. Come down to our office at 400 Monroe in downtown Detroit on the 5th floor. Call 313-224-5990 or email textinfo@waynecounty.com for assistance. Take the first step. Contact our office today.
Want to major in political science, become the mayor or something, make the situation better for other people. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
Welcome back to Wealth and Development. I know you're seeing a new face, and if you're just tuning in from the commercial breaks, I am not Herb Strather, believe it or not. But we do have you, Herb, right here. And today I get a chance to interview you. We're talking about your new book. We left off on the other segment talking about a lot of the struggles that you went through, and how you were able to turn those struggles around and turn them around into something great. And I want to say this, I keep on quoting some of the great mayors we had and some of the council members, great. And since I've worked there for I think about 24 years, the things and the knowledge they just gave me just rings in my head. One thing, when we were going through the economic downturn, we were going through the emergency management, I hear council members, the council member Joanne Watson, for one, just saying that we will rise up like a phoenix. Detroit will come through this. And I've heard this from I tell you, I got the wisdom of my years in the head from all these different political and great figures that, serve Detroit. So you tell me, you rose like a phoenix. How can Detroiters take this information and rise like a phoenix and come out on top of everything that has happened to us in the past? The ones that stayed here, the ones that have said Detroit is my home.
Right. John, it is an amazing thing. There's a burning desire to succeed that you can get there, and it's a blessing because you may have a struggle growing up, but God has given you that burning desire. That's a balance. So it's really a blessing to have challenges. And Detroit, we're a gritty city. We're in the Midwest. I mean, we have a lot going for us. We are the #1 philanthropic community in the entire United States. Only California is second. Everybody else is far behind, for an example.
Nobody will believe that.
So we've had the biggest struggle, but we give the most at the same time.
Absolutely.
And what is wonderful today is that the sun and the moon and the stars have aligned to give us just like a stairwell to heaven, a stairwell to financial freedom for our family, our future, forever. But it's also have drawn the attention of everybody around the world. And they want to know, which way is Detroit?
Which way is Detroit?
You understand? And do you know that you can buy houses cheaper than cars? And they just tell everybody, and they say, I don't believe it. Do you believe that the cap rates on apartment buildings is 10 and 11%? Whereas in New York, the cap rate or the rate of return is 2 to 5 to 6%. So it's like double or triple in Detroit. So obviously everybody in the world is coming here and wanting to invest. And 80%, 90% of the real estate is being sold to outsiders. So this is what makes me sleep with my eyes open. It makes me get on my knees and pray and ask the Lord to just help me to convince Detroiters to get involved. Now,
I was just going to say that on that, Herb, and I know from working with you that you are so passionate now about getting Detroiters involved. You probably have, I don't know how much you sleep at night, Herb. I don't think you sleep very much, but you're constantly not only tackling these different real estate deals and these commercial deals, but you're also tackling the problem of how can you get Detroiters involved.
And how I can also help homeowners out. Now, what has happened? Detroit, the largest municipal city in the United States to ever go into bankruptcy. But look what happened. Post-bankruptcy, we had $1.5 billion. Wow. I mean, can you imagine with coming out for $1.5 billion and no debt? And then we had opportunities that was unbelievable because of TARP under Obama administration. Banks were not allowed to go after homeowners when there was a foreclosure and they had deficiencies. And in exchange, they are reimbursed 97% for all the losses that they had. So here you have a case where if a bank have a foreclosure, they don't care what they sell it for. They sell it for $500. They sell it for $5,000. Now, that's beginning to creep up now, but even now on bankruptcies, not bankruptcies, foreclosures, you could buy properties for 25 to 30 cents on the dollar. Yet there are very few Detroiters that are there buying it. If we go through the opportunities that have been created as a result of this situation, like for example, Detroit Home Mortgage was created. It was created because our values are psychologically depressed. It's really not economically depressed. Now just think about it. How many for sale signs have you seen? Detroiters, how many for sale signs have you seen? Very few. Detroit Association Realtors state that it's the lowest that we've had in 50 years. So there's a huge demand for housing, not hardly any ready inventory. So if you line all of these things up, Advantage programs like Detroit Home Mortgage, you could borrow 150% of the after repair value.
That's incredible.
And you can buy the properties at less than 50%, put money up. I mean, theoretically, if you bought something for $50,000, put 20 grand in, and it was worth 100 when you finish, you could borrow $150,000. Now that's an amazing thing, isn't it?
That is an amazing thing, but let me say this, because I know you teach your students, because there's not a lot of for sale signs out, but the thing, you heard the story of Acres Full of Diamonds, right? Where the gentleman traveled all over looking for diamonds, and the land that he sold was the largest diamond mine in Africa, and he ended up looking for diamonds, and I can't remember, everywhere, and I can't remember if
it was right there.
Yeah, right there, and I can't remember if he committed suicide or he ended up dying looking for diamonds, but it wasn't a pretty story. It was right there in his home backyard. So about the for sale signs, the thing that you teach your students is how to find these homes before these signs go up, how to buy these homes when nobody else can find them. And even on the internet, all these people that are buying these 50 homes at a time, as you and Ms. Bowers were talking about on your show a couple weeks ago, and these 100 homes at a time, there's homes that aren't listed that they can find right here in Detroit that's right down the street.
Absolutely. And one of the things, and John, I got to say, I'm very excited about teaching class. My students, I'm creating the next generation of urban developers. By me having done a couple $1 billion in deals, I need to get these methodologies out of my head and into young people who are eager to learn. And so one of the things that is really off the hook is like the tools that we can use. We have a tool that you can go right up to a house, take a picture of it, and it'll tell you the owner's name in 7 seconds. You have to pay 80 cents, but you can take another picture. You could click a few more and it give you the phone number. So it's really conversion of several different applications that have come together, and all of a sudden we got a miracle. So we have the tools to use. At Strather
That's
Academy,
what I was just going to ask you, yeah.
We have the tools to use, and we teach people right up to date things that they would not know because they're not engaged. There is not 5 people from Detroit that come down to the sheriff's sales every Thursday. Yet there's $1 million of Thursday that is auctioned off. And most of the sales are from people out of town buying it. But our class is there. Our class is sitting there every Thursday, and we're interviewing. And if some of you are losing your home, call us, 313-444-9691. We can help you save your home, and it'll end up being a blessing.
Well, Herb, let me ask you this also. We're getting ready to go into the commercial break.
Yeah.
I know that you just gave some information, but for those that are listening right now, and you've been on this mission for years. You've been on this mission to educate all Detroiters, and now you have a TV show that everybody's watching right now. You're doing some social media things. You're rebuilding the website. There's some technology that's about to be introduced. It's fantastic. But if somebody's listening right now, how can they spread the word, even if they might not feel like it's time for them to get real estate, that it's time for the kids, but how can they spread the word about what you're doing and how they can find out about real estate in Detroit?
One of the things, we're about halfway finished with our show, John. One of the things that would be very good is for you to get on the phone. Call right now. Call your children, call your neighbors, tell them to listen to what we're talking about, because we're talking about saving the equity in our community for future generations and not let everybody eat our lunch. And that's what we're talking about, John, because this equity belongs to us. Look, if there's 50 houses that are vacant and there is $30,000 on the average in the house, or in the homes, that's $1.5 billion. Now the fact is there's more than 50,000 homes, and there's probably more than $30,000 worth of equity. but we can take and extract this for ourselves. This is ours. So we're absolutely going to watch people come in here, and we're not going to respond. So here's what I want. I want people who are willing to invest in themselves and invest in our community to help bring it back.
Well, that's true, and you have to invest in yourself before you can, do anything else. I mean, it is an education. Somebody can't learn real estate overnight. It's very hard to learn real estate and actually know it from a book, something that you do. You have 30, 40 years in real estate, is it?
More.
It's more than
I'll
that.
be telling you my age.
Well, we won't tell your age, but you have over 40 years of real estate investment, over $2 billion. You're working on your 20 billion, but this next 20 billion will be for everybody to get involved, because you said there's enough right now real estate and empty homes to make how many millionaires?
There is enough to make anywhere from 1,500 millionaires.
1,500 millionaires right here in Detroit.
Right now.
Yeah, and that's incredible.
We can make 1,500 millionaires to probably 3,000 millionaires right here in Detroit if we extract the equity for ourselves. And John, there's something else, and I know we're going to go into a break.
Right.
But what has happened here is that we're in the middle of gentrification. Now, there's nothing we can really do about that, because in every single city in America, young people do not want to live in the suburbs. They want to live downtown where everything is there and it's hot and it's mingled. And they don't want to live in the suburbs where you have to get in the car to go to the store, get in the car to do every single thing. Right. You understand? So it's hot. But what we do want in our community is a melting pot. And we need civic engagement, civic involvement. Right now, the programs seem to be targeted to areas that are being gentrified. Right. You understand? Well, I mean, in other words, if I can give you an example, if you take Russell Woods, for example, there's 7 special areas where money's being poured into the city. Well, if money's being put into Russell Woods, I got that. The millenniums, everybody want to move in Russell Woods, but how about Dexter to Linwood? This has been a traditional middle-class community, big, large, brick, beautiful homes. Why can't we take and develop both areas? Why not use those funds to develop the lower economic community too? We've got to fight for this.
I'm in full agreement with you, Herb, and I know our civic leaders. I talked with President Jones the other day,
yes,
and had a chance to interview her. She was talking about it, that we definitely have to have a melting pot and become a fabric, like, as a matter of fact, Rochelle Wiley was saying, that works for Mayor Dunn.
Right.
She said that this fabric thing is more important than building a bridge, because if you build a bridge, you're building a bridge, but if you become a fabric, you're interwoven in the community, and that's what we want.
That's what we want at the end of the day. We want to be a fabric. Is
right.
that correct?
Yes.
We want a melting pot. We don't want a segregation where it stops at Dexter, where the area that is targeted, Rosedale Park, and then Grandmont Sub, and the money it stops at Ashbury Park, right where that's not acceptable.
Absolutely. So I'm being told right now that we're going to go to a break.
And I'll cool down.
Yeah, you cool down a little bit.
Hi, my name is Rico Razzo, Deputy Director of Bridging Neighborhoods with the City of Detroit. Here to let you know that you need to be counted in the Census 2020. This is your opportunity to be heard, be counted, and have money come to help with the resources needed to live a better life in the City of Detroit. Be counted, Detroit.
My property taxes became delinquent after I fell behind on my bills.
Let us help you. Our goal is 0 owner-occupied properties getting foreclosed and going to the auction. Come down to our office at 400 Monroe in downtown Detroit on the 5th floor. Call 313-224-5990 or email textinfo@waynecounty.com for assistance. Take the first step. Contact our office today.
As I begin to build a life here, as I've invested in the city, I want to make sure that Detroit is also invested in. Hi, I'm Leah Hill, founder of Kindred Media and Entertainment, and I want you to be counted, Detroit.
So we're back with Wealth and Development. As I keep on saying, no, this is not Herb Strather. This is a much better looking guy. I'm sorry, dude. Okay, that's my little joke. But Herb, so we're talking, you're getting everybody fired up about becoming a part of Detroit, this economic turnaround, and doing it through real estate. We talked about the acres of diamond. We talked about your beginnings, your very humble beginnings, where you got challenged, where you came through and rose like a phoenix, like Detroit is doing right now. Now I just want to mention, I have to mention, we have this downtown. The downtown has turned around really, but now the focus is going on the neighborhoods. We have different banks and things that have got involved, like there's Chemical Bank I know got involved, and there's the Neighborhood Stabilization Fund that's going on. But we have to make sure that the buck doesn't start and stop in the neighborhoods that's doing well. We have to make sure, and that's what you were going to, that we have to continue that on to all areas of Detroit, so we can turn around all areas of Detroit, not just one area. Because what we end up with is a situation like, okay, downtown turned around, but what? So this neighborhood turned around, but what about this neighborhood that was neighboring you? So if you could talk a little bit more, we're wrapping up and we're moving kind of fast, and then we'll go right into which way is Detroit. So wait for which way is Detroit, because you're going to want to hear about that.
Well, John, the thing about it is there's opportunity like in Northwest, Northeast Detroit, and a lot of key places in Detroit, because prices have doubled and tripled anywhere the millennials have absolutely bought. Cass Corridor went up 1,000 to 2,000%. It had a 48.93% property rate. Now it's the highest appreciation zip code in the entire United States. But here's the really good news. Let's say where Bagley is, that's the targeted area. Prices are jumping on Bagley. If you go across Wyoming, you're not in Bagley. But look at the neighborhood, they're solid. The good news is that those properties are going for 50 cents on the dollar.
That's crazy.
Just check Zillow, which is not really, an appraisal, but it kind of keeps track of what values are. And they're going for about 50% of what the average mortgage in the neighborhood is going for. So look at the amount of equity in there and our chance to buy it.
It's unbelievable. So first of all, let me say this. Detroit has some of the most beautiful homes in the world. And I mean, it's just what it is. I was over in one of your students' areas the other day, Paul Taylor, and he lives over there on Dexter and Leslie, right? And many of those homes were challenged, but the homes were just beautiful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I know we only have a few minutes, Sue. I just want to make sure that we get our message to Detroiters. What we want to do is give Detroiters the tools to use. Detroiters, those of you who are interested in investing in the community and in yourself and helping to extract this equity for your children, for your grandchildren, for our future. This belongs to us. People in the world are coming here as like the #1 investment spot in the entire world and buying our real estate. We need to own our own real estate. So here's what is happening. I wrote a book, Which Way is Detroit?
I was just about to ask you about it.
And I want to release it for the first 90 days to Detroiters to give us a chance to really understand it. It's a resource guide. It tells us about all the tools, the financing, and it's a guide essentially,
okay,
so you don't get hurt and so you can successfly buy and rehab properties.
So it talks about the tools. Just name a couple of those tools.
For example, PACE, property assess clean energy. You can finance commercial buildings and put it on the tax rolls, for example. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Just tell me how many of these properties we got up and down Gratiot, Grand River, Woodward, Michigan Avenue, commercial on the bottom, residential on the top. They're sitting empty. You could finance these things. They've been sitting empty for 15 years. Of course you could take and do it. How many commercial buildings up and down the street? We can use this tool by itself. How about Detroit Home Mortgage?
I was about to ask you about residential.
NACA, no credit, no down payment, and no closing costs.
So we went from commercial to residential.
Commercial to residential. And then there are tools that the government allows you to use that we use very successfully in class. We call them bargain gift sales, Internal Revenue Code 170. We buy property on bargain gift sales, and we create 501c3s to be the recipients and then turn around and joint venture.
Well, let me ask this, Herb, because some of the things you said, I know you know them, and what's interesting to you, like the Vice President of Detroit Economic Growth Corporation said,
everybody.
Mike Denson, he said everybody doesn't understand what you're saying, because sometimes, especially when you're talking at the level of knowledge that you have, it sounds like Thomas Alva Edison creating a light bulb. Right. But you break it down really simply in your class.
Right, because we got time, and you actually have to close the deal in the class. So here's what I want. There are those who are listening that it's not an accident. Some of you are listening. It's a God-given purpose for you to listen. If you are willing to invest in yourself, I want to give you a code. And John, I want to keep the code available for 2 days.
What are we going to call the code?
Detroit DNA, no space. Detroit DNA. And you can go to Strather Academy. And any of our products and anything you could go half price. Now, students, my existing students, don't get mad.
Wait, any product,
Yes.
you can go half price.
Right, for 2 days. In other words, if you are willing to do it and you say, I know that I want this, I know I want my son involved, I am willing to get involved. Because you could buy you one house for your grandchild and that'll take care of her entire college education. Just think about it right now. If something is selling for 50%, you could buy it with a 75% mortgage and take cash out and buy the house.
Right.
We will never see times like this again. We're literally a fool to let this go by and we can pull this equity out for our families.
And sometimes this information is coming at people really fast, but I just want to say, do you have to be a genius or do you have to be super smart to learn these
Absolutely not.
skills?
You don't have to be smart. And one other thing, my new book, Which Way is Detroit? It's going for $22.95. Listen, go on the website, Detroit DNA, and get the book. For those of you who are interested, I want you to take and do a cash app to the number below. And I'm going to let you all have it for $8.
Heard. All right, you said it.
I said it but for 2 days. 2 days.
Okay, what is the regular price of the book?
$22.95. But the book, I don't want anybody to say there's an excuse, I haven't got any money. You got $8. And I have put my heart and soul in the book, and I want Detroiters to have it before the rest of the world have it.
So to make it the $8, what you'll do really quickly is you list the book for $16 if they use the code Detroit DNA.
Yes.
Detroit DNA, then they'll be able to get it for the $8.
Right. I'm going to list the code for 16. I'm going to lower it for the first 90 days and let Detroiters buy it.
Okay. So,
and you can buy it for half.
All right. And even the people that don't have the code that everybody here has now, they'll be able to get it for 16, which is less than
Which is great. Right. Everybody listening, Detroit DNA. Together, we can make this happen.
All right, Herb. So I want to applaud you for all you're doing in the city of Detroit, all you're doing for the citizens, how you're trying to get the citizens really involved in this economic turnaround, as I keep on telling you, in Detroit real estate, in these acres of diamonds that are right here in our backyards, that are right next door to us sometimes. And you know, for all, Herb, that you have done up to this point, all that you will continue to do, you are a rock star. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that.
Thank you, my man.
And a real estate tycoon, and
Thank
what
you,
you're trying
John.
to do is make other tycoons.
Thank you, John.
So you heard it here on actually Herb's show, which I stepped in, and I'm interviewing you on your show right now, Wealth and Development Show. But the information is right here on the screen. If you want to get involved in turning Detroit around, contact this number, contact this website, go in, purchase the products that Herb has to offer. If you call the phone number, you'll reach somebody, and you might even reach the big and bad Herbert Strather, who, and really the nice and philanthropist.
I'm a
Herbert
nice guy,
Strather.
but I have one question. He doesn't really look good to me, do he?
So on that note, buy real estate in Detroit. Real estate is constantly going up. The market is going up. You have seen these neighborhoods. I remember that there was a home that I was very interested in, $79,000 about 5 years ago. Now that home is over about $700,000. So these kind of stories do exist, and in these neighborhoods where we have these perfect homes, as other people start moving into these neighborhoods and start growing these neighborhoods and rebuilding these neighborhoods, the property values just rise.
Right.
On a rising, what is it, when the tide comes in and rises, all ships rise.
Right. There you go.
So we'll see you on the next Wealth and Development. Look forward to it, and peace and many blessings.
This program has been paid for by Strather Academy, creating developers within our communities.